So just thank you for everyone for being here, and I congratulate you. And it's not going anywhere. I know I've gotten some questions from women who just started. The page is going to be up for a while, so take your time. So as promised, I want to do two things for you. This is February 1st, at least where I am. It's February 1st, maybe February 2nd for some of you. I wanted to do two things for you tonight. The first is I mentioned on the Facebook page, I want to restart our sticky note challenge because February is International Self-Love Month. And so I want to make sure that every day in the group, we are posting positive affirmations where if you're still doing the challenge, keep on posting away. We're going to be there for the whole month of February, supporting each other, posting inspirational quotes and memes, and I'll be stopping in and doing Facebook Lives now and then just to check on everybody. So I want to do that for you in February. And then as promised, tonight I really want to give you my 7 principles of being a well-nourished woman, as well as some tips and some exercises to help you moving forward so that if you choose, you can make this, as we talked about, I think on Monday, make this a 30-day practice where you're checking in with yourself, doing something to nourish your temple every day. So I want to do that. Then we're going to do our challenge winners reveal, and I'll tell you what they won and what it is. So some of you are pretty new to my world, and some of you have been with me for a long time. So I just want to introduce myself. Dr. Mary Pritchard. I have a PhD in psychology. So I'm a psychologist. I'm also a body image expert, and I blog for Psych Today and Huffington Post and sometimes Fitness Magazine. And so I have a podcast. I have a YouTube channel. I've been sharing my wisdom for a while now, and I just got so inspired to do something to really powerfully bring this message of body love and really taking good care of yourself into 2017 because I wanted us to start off the year right, because I've always followed that principle, how you start your day is how you end your day. And I think how you start your year is also how you end your year. So I wanted to really start 2017 off with a bang, but we had to get through the holidays. And then I wanted to lead into Self-Love Month. So I started a little early with our 7-day challenge and then want to lead into now this month-long celebration of us and doing the sticky notes and doing some of the exercises together that I'm going to talk about tonight on the call. So why do I do what I do? I get that question a lot. And so one of my friends and mentors along my journey is a woman named Lisa Marie Rosati. And she said something to me a few years ago when we were talking. And she said, your message, your message. And I said, that could not be more true for me. So for those of you who don't know much about my journey, from the age of about 12, I suffered from really irregular and painful menstrual cycles. At 18, I was unofficially diagnosed with a disorder called endometriosis. At that time, the only way you could officially diagnose it was through surgery. And at 18, they just didn't think it was worth putting me under the knife just to diagnose whether I had this or not. So it's a primary cause of infertility in women. And to make a very long story short, 5 surgeries, 3 rounds of drug-induced menopause, 9 years in early menopause, which I then healed myself out of. And I talked a little bit about that in the challenge in one of the videos. 4 failed fertility treatments later, I finally realized that my body had been screaming at me for decades, but I wasn't hearing the message. So beginning in my pre-teens, my body was saying, hey, pay attention. But I didn't understand that the irregular painful menstrual cycles followed by the years of being doubled over in the floor in pain with all the treatments of endometriosis, which is a very painful disease, and all of the side effects of the drugs that they put me on for it. I never understood that my body was trying to actually give me a message. I just viewed it as a betrayer. I really got to the point that I hated my body because I thought it was a traitor. I thought it had taken my God-given right to have children away from me at the ripe old age of 26. That's when I entered menopause. And like I said, I later healed myself out of that, which my doctor said was impossible. But in the midst of all of that, so, the behind the scenes was that nobody really knew what was going on with me. I hid it really well, because another thing that I learned growing up, and we talked about this a few days ago, and the challenge is that so many of us became very disconnected from our bodies. And so growing up, I was really taught to ignore my body's own natural cues and signs and cycles and signals. And, don't show emotions, you don't cry, big girls don't cry kind of thing. And so I suppressed it all. And so even though I was in a lot of pain emotionally and physically, I didn't want anyone to know, because I thought it was a sign of weakness if I showed what was really going on. And so at the same time as the endometriosis and all the surgeries and the menopause and the failed, all this stuff was going on, I was in the midst of building a career as an academic, as a psychologist, as a body image expert, and not really understanding that my mess was going to end up being my message. So I don't regret any of it. I am so grateful for everything my poor body has been through, because had it not, I wouldn't be where I am today. It took me until I was 40 for me to, actually 39 and a half, for me to really wake up and begin to understand. I started getting glimpses when I was 36 and I got my menstrual cycles back. But at the same time, I was dealing with the death of my father, and a lot of things were going on. My marriage was failing, and so I didn't really understand. So I'm a slow learner, right? It took me a few years to really figure out. And so that's kind of my story in a very small nutshell, is that, I've been there. I've had a lot of physical struggles with my body. I viewed my body as a betrayer and a traitor. And so I know so many of you, I just was moved to tears reading so many of your posts in the classroom and the Facebook group, because I've been there. I've been at places where I've hated my body, where I was so disconnected from my body, or viewed my body as flawed or bad, and I've healed that. And so I'm so grateful for you for making, wherever you are on your journey, wherever you got within those 7 to 10 days, I applaud you for taking the initiative to start the healing process, or continue the healing process. I know many of you have already been on your own journeys for a while. So I applaud you for doing that. And, my real wake-up call, I guess, to do what I do came several years ago. So I was building this successful academic career, studying body image and eating disorders, and 20 years plus years of research now under my belt on those. And so all of my programs come not only from my personal life experience and how I healed myself, but from the research on what actually works on this. And it was several years ago, and one of my good male friends sat me down and not so subtly said, "You have a problem. You have an eating disorder." And I said, "I don't have an eating disorder. I study eating disorders." And we argued for about a week. And I finally realized that he was right, that what had happened over those couple of decades of endometriosis and feeling like my body was a betrayer is that subconsciously I started punishing it by exercising too much and not eating enough. And so when he finally confronted me and I started to see the light, I did what all good researchers do. I started researching. I went back to my own research and started, okay, I want to heal this. Now I admit I have a problem. I didn't realize that my mess had become my message, or that my message was my mess, vice versa. But I knew I wanted to heal it, and I knew I could heal it. And so that started several years of this journey of really healing my relationship with food and my body and myself. And so the 7 principles that I want to share with you tonight came out of my now 43-year journey on this planet of trying to come to terms with what it is to be in this body and to love and accept my body and myself for who I am. And I shared 7 of those exercises that I learned and came up with along the way with you in our 7-day challenge, some of the bonus exercises we did in the past few days for those of you who wanted a little bit more. But I really want to get to the core of the matter behind how I developed those and why they work for me. And that's really where the 7 principles come in. I didn't learn these in school. These are things that I developed along the way because I realized how important they were for me. And so they may not all resonate with you, and that's okay. Just like some of the exercises I know didn't resonate with everyone. They were really uncomfortable for some of you, and that's okay. Start where you are. But I'm hoping at least something that we talk about tonight really resonates with you and you're able to take some nuggets of wisdom in moving into February into nourishing your body. So as we talked about in the challenge, one of these terms that I think we played with the word play and pleasure. We played with the word nourishment because, growing up for me, nourishment was eating whatever my mom fixed because she cooked for everyone in our family. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that nourishing myself was so much more than just food. It's how I treated myself because at the end of the day, I realized that the reason I had a problem with food and the relationship to my body was that I wasn't taking good care of myself because I didn't at my core believe I was worth it. So because I viewed my body as flawed, I felt like I was flawed. So even though I ate not enough during the period of time where I had an eating disorder, and I ate what I considered to be very healthy food, I wasn't nourishing myself enough with food, and I certainly wasn't giving myself permission to nourish myself in other ways. Because I didn't think I was worthy of nourishment. I was at such a point in my life where I felt so flawed and so broken that I didn't really feel like I deserved it. And so I had to really heal that relationship with myself. And so this is really where those 7 principles come from. I can design a diet plan for you. I've got the schooling for that. I actually went back about 6 years ago and for a year and a half and got a holistic nutrition certificate, but that's not the point. The point is that nourishment is so much more than food. So 7 principles, let's dive in. So the first principle to me, which was really the basis of this Love Your Body, Nourish Your Temple challenge, is to treat your body as the sacred temple. It houses our soul. It's our connection to divine. And I never, ever used to think of my body as a sacred temple until I got my menstrual cycles back. That was a real turning point for me. So, I'd lost my period in my mid to late 20s, did not have a period for about a decade because I wasn't ovulating. And then I think I shared this in the challenge at one point in one of the videos. I had flown to Texas because my parents were living there at the time. My father was dying of cancer. And he was undergoing chemotherapy and radiation and dialysis, and he was very ill. And my mother was his sole caregiver. And so it was just getting to be a lot for her to take care of him. So I flew down, because I don't teach in the summer, I flew down for the summer to help my mother take care of my dying father. And I was down in Texas, and one day I started bleeding. And I freaked out. My mom freaked out. I hadn't had a period in a decade. And so I flew back home and I went to the doctor, and they said, we don't know what's wrong with you, but ran all kinds of tests, but it appears that you're okay. It's probably just a weird thing. It's a fluke. Go back and take care of your father. 28 days later, it happened again. So I flew back home. And somebody at that point decided they were going to run a hormone panel on me, which I don't know why they hadn't done the first time I got my period, because I didn't think it was a period. And so they said, this isn't possible and don't get used to it, but your hormones have come back online and you're out of menopause. And it was something about that moment when I realized my body's ability to heal itself that I began to understand that my body was a miracle. And if my body was a miracle and it had that ability to heal itself out of menopause, which is supposedly a medical impossibility, what else could it do? At the same time, I'm giving you a book recommendation because at the same time, I now believe that's in synchronicity, that everything happens for a reason, that life happens for us and not to us. I don't even remember who gave me this book, but at the same time this was happening, someone gave me Anita Diamant's book called The Red Tent. And this book is a novel, but it's historical fiction. So it's loosely based on what we know about some of the tribal cultures back in biblical times. And the book is about a tribe of nomads that celebrated and revered the female menstrual cycle. And if you've ever lived in a house full of women, sometimes you'll notice that if you're with women a lot, if you ever lived in a dorm in college, or if you have female roommates growing up at some point, you may have found that your menstrual cycle synced. So that's pretty normal for when women live together. Their menstrual cycles over a few months will tend to sync with one another. And so back in ancient times with nomadic peoples, women tended to bleed together and they tended to ovulate together because they all lived together and they were living under the light of the moon. It was way back before we had fluorescent lights. This was back in biblical times. And so the red tent was the sacred holy place where women would go at the time of their menstrual cycle. And it was where the mysteries were passed down from grandmother to mother to granddaughter. And you couldn't enter the tent unless you were female and you had your first period. It was a rite of passage. And so as I'm getting my period back, healing, my body is healing itself of menopause, I'm reading this book called The Red Tent. And it really drove home that point that, oh my gosh, maybe my body is a miracle. Teresa says she's read the book. It is wonderful, isn't it, Teresa? Maybe my body is a miracle, and maybe I should treat it like a sacred temple that has the ability to give birth to life. And I don't care if you've ever had a child or not. I have never had, never will. That's part of my own journey with my endometriosis. But it's still the female reproductive ability to give birth to life. You still have this ability, even if you never physically have a child. You, as a female, it's like a divine right of being able to give birth to a creation. So treating your body as a sacred temple is one of those principles that, one of the first ones I learned on my journey, because I had to get my period back at 36 for me to start to really understand that my body was a miracle and it was sacred, and look at what it could do. So how do we do this? So I want to give you a few exercises. Pick up the ones that resonate with you, toss the ones that don't, but in our scheme of moving forward into February, having something to do every day, try these on for size. So the first tip I shared with you, I think on day 8, and that is to just daily check in with your body and ask your body, your mind, your heart, your emotions, what do you need today? And make sure that you get that. Because it's probably not going to be something big. I doubt very much that if you wake up tomorrow and say, what do you need today? Your body is going to say to you, I need a 2-week paid vacation to Tahiti. I mean, maybe it will. I don't know. I think we would probably all love that. But usually when I check in with myself, which I do several times a day, it's something small. It's just, what do I need in this moment? A hug, to call a friend, to just breathe, to sleep in for 5 more minutes, to meditate. So treating your body as a sacred temple means checking in with it and really honoring your body. So for example, yesterday I didn't sleep well. And so I had planned to go to the gym and I didn't go because I was honoring my body's fatigue and decided to just not do that. I was tired. So I decided I just wanted the night off. So I stayed home and I journaled and I painted and I did things that nourished my sacred body temple because it wanted that more than it wanted to move. Today, on the other hand, I got out of my meetings early and I actually had time to squeeze in a little visit to the gym before coming back here to host this call tonight. So check in with your body every day. What do you need? And then honor that. The second tip or exercise I have for you is to really, and we played with this a little bit in the challenge, but to really figure out what nourishment means to you. Not just on the food level. Yes, food is important and we want to make sure we're nourishing our sacred body temples with good food. But what does the word nourishment really mean to you? Is it movement? Is it taking some time for yourself every day? Is it reading a good book? What is nourishment? What nourishes your soul? What really is calling to you? Is it painting? Is it dance? Singing? And part of that is kind of getting back to what we were talking about in the Facebook group the other day about giving ourselves permission to play and to have experience pleasure. Because for so many of us, those are loaded terms that we don't let ourselves do, because if you were like me growing up, you were taught get all your work done and then you're allowed to play. But as we get older, of course, our to-do lists keep growing. And we end up with no time left for us. So ask your body what it needs every day. Figure out what nourishment means to you and schedule those things in. So maybe nourishment, I would keep pondering that term and just kind of make a list. What does nourishment mean to me? And just keep adding to that list. Maybe do this over several days or even come back to it once a week and keep pondering that question and adding to that list and then schedule those things in. So part of my nourishment, my sacred self-care is that I try to get a massage every other week because my body feels better when I do that. Sometimes it's every 3 weeks. Sometimes, if it's really been a stressful time, it's every week. But that's part of nourishing my body. So just really checking in what nourishes my soul, what nourishes my body. The third tip that I have for you on this principle is to track your self-care. And we did this a little bit in the challenge, but I encourage you to do it over the course of at least a week or maybe for the entire month of February. Just no blame or shame, but just look into what am I doing to take care of myself every day? And at the end of the day, do I feel like I nourished my temple? Do I feel well cared for? And if not, no blame, no shame, but what do I want to do different tomorrow? So that's the third tip I have for you on that first principle of treating your body as a sacred temple. So ask your body what it needs every day. Figure out what nourishment really means to you and schedule it in. Make sure you're getting what really nourishes your soul on a regular basis. And then part of that would be to track your self-care for a week, for the whole month, just to daily kind of check in with yourself at the end of each day. How did I do today? Do I feel like I was well cared for? Do I feel like I'm really depleted? And tomorrow I want to do this instead. So just start playing with that as we get into February. So moving out of that, part of treating your body as a sacred temple gets into my second principle, which is getting in tune with your body's natural cycles and rhythms. And again, this was really inspired by that book, The Red Tent by Anita Diamant. And so if you are menstruating, that may be that you want to start tracking your menstrual cycles. So I'm not going to go into, we'd be here all night if I did, all of the hormonal stuff behind why our energy levels tend to change and our moods tend to change throughout our cycle, but know that they do. And so in the first half of our cycle, our bodies tend to produce more estrogen. It's very much a go-to doing kind of hormone. So typically, once you get, if you are still having periods, once you get past the first 3 to 5 days of your cycle, you'll notice a boost in energy and you feel like you can get more done. And then once ovulation occurs, then estrogen starts to go down, so that go and do energy starts to wane and your progesterone level starts to rise. Progesterone is very much a couch potato, feel good, lazy kind of hormone. And so one of the things that I tell my clients to do if they're still menstruating is track your menstrual cycle. And over a few months, just notice, does my energy tend to be different at different times of my cycle? And again, kind of getting back to principle one, just honor that. If you know that you have a ton of energy in the first 2 weeks of your cycle and you tend to just want to just lay on the couch for the last 2 weeks of your cycle, then don't schedule major projects for the last 2 weeks of your cycle, right? So try to honor your body. If you're not in a place where you're menstruating, then I have 2 ideas for you. The first is to track how the moon actually affects you. So again, kind of going back to the book, The Red Tent, in ancient times before fluorescent lights, most women, because we lived outside, our menstrual cycles were ruled by the light of the moon. And so we tended to bleed on the new moon, which is the dark moon, and we tended to ovulate on the full moon. And so as fluorescent lights have come into the picture, most of us have gotten away from that if we are still cycling. However, a lot of my clients have noticed that if they pay attention over the course of a few months, even if they're not menstruating, their energy levels change, or their emotions in particular change, depending on the phase of the moon. So that's another idea for you. So if you're not menstruating, or if that calls to you more so, to start just tracking your moods and your energy levels by where the moon's phase is. And there's a bunch of apps, you can Google it, moon's phase, and just figure out. A lot of calendars even have it on there as part of the calendar. So just start tracking that. And if that doesn't appeal to you either, just use a regular old calendar. Jana had a great app that she posted on Facebook at one point. I think it was just a regular old calendar app. But just use a calendar to see if you notice any patterns. So maybe you tend to have your energy depends on the week of the month. Maybe it's not your menstrual cycle. Maybe it's not even the moon, but maybe it's just you notice that like usually you have a lot of energy at the first of the month because you're excited and it's a new month and you have all these plans and you set these goals. And then somewhere, midway, you kind of start to lag in your motivation. And then by the end of the month, you're beating yourself up. And that's a recurring pattern for you. So just the point is, get in tune with your body's natural cycles and rhythms. Start to notice. Start to notice day to day. Start to notice month to month. Start to notice by time of day. I'm a morning person. By this time of night, my energy level is starting to wane a little bit because I tend to be early to bed, early to rise. Some people are night owls. That's part of it. Get in tune with your body's natural cycles and rhythms. And I get that depending on your work schedule, your school schedule, or your kids' school schedule. Maybe you can't, if you're a night owl, maybe you can't stay up all night and sleep all day. Maybe that's just not feasible. But as much as you can, just start to get in touch with what your body is asking you to do and honor that as much as possible. So principle number 2, get in tune with your body's natural cycles and rhythms. Number 3, listen to your body. And if you take nothing else away from this call, make it be the principle number 3. Listen to your body. What is it telling you? So I know in the Facebook group, as we did the 7-day challenge, we have a lot of women struggling with a variety of health issues. Everything from Teresa's really badly sprained ankle to Rebecca's battle with cancer to some eating disorder stuff going on. So I know we've got a lot of major health challenges. We've got some back pain. We've got a lot of health issues that I was seeing in our Facebook group. And first of all, again, I just applaud you for showing up and doing this challenge and doing something to really nourish your sacred body temple. But one of the things that I've learned is that as my mess is my message, my body is really my best messenger. All of those years when I was having irregular menstrual cycles, when I was having a lot of pain, my body was saying, hey, wake up, pay attention. But I wasn't listening because I didn't understand what my body was trying to tell me. So just start to tune in. If you're having a health challenge, or even if you're not, even if it's just you're having a bad day, low energy level, you're sick, cold, flu, it's kind of that season here in the Northern Hemisphere. If you're in a place where it's currently winter, then if you just notice how your body's feeling. And if you feel kind of out of whack or out of alignment, ask your body, why are you hurting? Why are you, having pain? Why? I have a story from, I think it's been about a year and a half ago. I had a private client who since graduated from coaching with me and gone on to start her own coaching practice. But she came to me and she was having chest pains, and she'd been having chest pains for a few months. And she'd been to cardiologist after cardiologist, and nobody could find anything wrong with her. And so she finally called me almost out of desperation because she was beginning to doubt herself. And she was beginning to wonder if it was psychosomatic, if her chest pain was all in her head. And so we did our initial session together as part of my one-on-one private coaching package. We do a mini VIP day with my clients. And so as we were going through her health history and going through this chest pain, I just simply asked her a question: why is your heart breaking? And immediately she just started bawling, and the light dawned. Her heart hurt because she and her husband's marriage of 40-something years was at its end. They weren't communicating. They were like roommates living in the same household. They weren't talking to each other. They ignored each other. And it was breaking her heart because she desperately loved this man. They'd been together for 40 years at this point. And that's why she was having chest pain. So we worked together. She actually ended up deciding to try to save her marriage, and now they're actually really happy. And so the really, really good story came out of that. But had she not listened to her body and understood why her chest was hurting, I think it would have taken a little bit longer for her to make that connection. That my impending divorce is why I'm having chest pain. So ask your body, why are you hurting? Why are you experiencing chest pain? Why are you, whatever it is you're experiencing it? And ask your body, okay, then what do I need to know? What's the lesson here? What are you trying to tell me? Tell me, or show me. It's ask your body, what lesson do I need to learn? Because until we learn the lesson, whatever the health issue is, probably not going to go away. This is coming from a woman who healed herself of endometriosis and out of menopause. So trust me on this one. So it may take a decade. It took me decades, it took me 2 decades to really fully heal that, because I didn't understand what the lesson was, what I needed to know, what I needed to do and stop doing. So ask your body and listen to what it has to say, and then honor that as best you can. Your body is not your only messenger, though. So principle number 5, for those of you who were just in the Woman Unleashed online retreat in December, you know what principle number 5 is, because I shared that in my session with Amber Quili Milani Bonici. But it's this: get in touch with your emotions. They are your superpower. So I'm not going to totally nerd out on you and go into, an hour lecture on brain science. But here's the thing. Ladies, we have in our brains these cells called mirror neurons. They are neurons that their biological purpose is to help us learn things quickly, because we mimic other people. It's how we learn how to walk. So talk, how we learn how to do things, skills like riding a bike, playing the piano, how we learn to do them faster or really quickly when we're kids. We have mirror neurons that fire when we're trying to mimic the behavior of somebody else. That's awesome when we're a child. But as we grow up, we don't need these mirror neurons to learn new skills as much as we did when we were a baby. So instead, these mirror neurons become our empathy neurons. We begin to feel what other people are feeling. And, I had a discussion a few months back in another of my group coaching programs, and we were talking about the fact that we're talking about words, sensitive, and how when I was growing up, if you were labeled sensitive, that was a bad thing. You were too sensitive. You were too emotional. You were weak because you showed signs of emotion. But what I've come to understand as I've gotten older is that my sensitivity, my empathy, it's one of my greatest gifts. And as women, we tend to have, biologically speaking, more mirror neurons than men do. So we're going to be more emotional. We're going to be more empathetic because our amygdalas, which houses our emotions, are actually bigger than men's. And so we're going to be more emotional. Biologically, we are wired that way. It is not a bad thing. It is not a weakness. And so get in touch with your emotions because like your body, they can be a messenger, a superpower. So Crystal Andrus once said something along the lines of, when you experience a negative emotion, ask yourself, where have my boundaries been violated? And it may not always be a boundary violation. I don't necessarily agree with her on that statement, but I agree with her on the premise of the fact that if you're experiencing a negative emotion, it's for a reason. And it's a warning sign. It's a red light flashing saying, hey, pay attention. So my tips to go along with this is, while you're asking your body what it needs every day, check in with yourself. What am I feeling? How am I feeling? Or another way to do it is, where's my energy level? Am I tired? Am I happy? Am I, have a ton of energy? Do I feel like I barely can drag myself out of bed? And then dive into that. Why? What's going on? And let that emotion, let that feeling fuel your next step to take care of you. Fuel your lesson learning. Fuel your ability to learn whatever it is so that you can maximize that emotion and use it as a motivating factor rather than using it feeling kind of overwhelmed by it, I guess, would be the better way to put that. So get in touch with your emotions. They are a superpower. So really check in with you. And when you're feeling an emotion, and I get that sometimes you can't stop and do this, but whenever possible, if you're feeling a negative emotion, check in. Okay, anxiety, where are you? Why are you here? What message do you have for me? Why am I experiencing that? What lesson do I need to learn? What can I do to help you? Or if you're asking the question about your energy level or your vibration, what can I do to raise my energy level? What can I do to raise my vibration? What can I do to nourish my temple, right? I mean, any of those questions would be appropriate, but use your emotions as the superpower they are, as your ability to really tap into your empathy, tap into all of the lessons your emotions have to teach you. So while we're on this principle, I want to talk about, this came up, I think Jana mentioned it, and maybe Barbara was talking about it one day, the 80% rule. And I think they were talking about it in terms of food, but I like the 80% rule with another emotional aspect, and it is this. I think growing up, a lot of us were taught to ignore our emotions because if you were sensitive or emotional, you were weak, right? There was some kind of equation, especially if you were female, you weren't allowed to be emotional, that you were made fun of, or a male colleague would say to you, oh, is it your time of the month? If you were emotional or snapped or whatever. And And I think that this stems from the fact that not only are we taught to ignore our emotions growing up, but we are taught to be Energizer bunnies. We do, give all day long, and we never take care of ourselves. So my 80% rule is give it your 80%, but keep 20% for yourself. Because if you keep giving and giving and giving and giving, you're not going to have anything left to give. So somebody posted, I think it was either Jana or Janelle, and I apologize if it wasn't one of you two, posted a video today about the oxygen mask analogy on the airplane. That's it. If you don't have any oxygen, you can't be of service. So my next principle, listen to your emotions. My next principle is keep your cup full. One of my favorite quotes from country and western singer of all people, Wynonna Judd. You have to fill your cup. You then give away the overflow, but you keep a cup full for yourself. It's the same thing with the oxygen analogy. You got to put your oxygen mask on first. Then you assist those around you, because you can't give from an empty cup. You can't give if you are depleted. So again, ask yourself, what do I need to do to fill my cup today? So I'm giving you a lot of reflection questions, but it doesn't take a lot of time, right? This is part of my daily morning practice. You can do it in 2 minutes. What's my body telling me? How do I feel? What do I need to do for me today? It takes 2 minutes to ask yourself those questions and journal down the answers, and then go schedule it in to make sure that you actually take time every day to fill your cup. It gets back to that whole 80-20 rule. Give 80%, yeah, but keep 20% for yourself, maybe more if you're really depleted. Quit giving away from your reserves. You can't keep serving from an empty cup, because pretty soon there's going to be nothing left to give. And this is coming from, I at one point I think probably had a Superwoman cape that I routinely wore and didn't even know it, right? I mean, like I am a doer. I am a recovering type A, recovering people pleaser, recovering Superwoman, all of those things, because that's how I was taught growing up. You have to be of service. You have to suppress your emotions. You have to do. That's how you prove your worth. And because I felt betrayed by my body, I felt like I had to overcompensate, overgive, overdo. But what kept happening? I kept winding up in the hospital. Maybe it was a surgery for endometriosis. Maybe it was, I've almost died of pneumonia twice. I mean, I've had some major health challenges. I've had chest pains. I've had some scary moments in my health history because I wasn't keeping my cup full, and I wasn't listening to my body, and I was giving not just to the point of depletion, but past the point of depletion. So keep your cup full. Principle number 5, you can't serve from your reserves. So again, those daily check-ins, make sure you get your needs met. It is not selfish, it is survival. So the last 2, these are ones that a lot of my clients struggle with, and so I saved these 2 for last. And in my own journey, I had to master the first 5 principles. And I use that term loosely because life is nothing but a lesson. I am not perfect. I still sometimes have to go, oh, I didn't take good care of myself today. I need to do a better job tomorrow. Life happens, right? Principle number 6, self-trust. Trust in divine timing and in yourself. So I'm a big proponent of the law of attraction in manifestation. It's been over it. Another book recommendation is The Secret. And I believe they've actually made that into a movie. But a lot of The Secret was misunderstood. And here's why. I had a client, it's probably been about a decade ago, who really wanted to make, she had just watched the movie The Secret. And she really wanted to manifest herself a white Jaguar, because to her, that would represent success. It would represent that she had, quote unquote, made it. And she wanted to be able to show everyone back home who told her she would never amount to anything that she had made it. And so she thought, if I could just get this white Jaguar, then it would mean that I have made it. And so when she came to me for coaching, she had done everything the movie had told her to do. She had seen herself in the white Jaguar. She had a vision board of the white Jaguar. And she'd been doing this for about 2 years and no white Jaguar, right? And so as we worked together, I started talking about my 7 principles for manifestation, which is a different set of 7 principles, like the number 7 apparently. And what it boiled down to is that for her, it was a self-worth issue. As much as she wanted that white Jaguar, there was nothing she could do, as many principles of The Secret as she followed, there was nothing she could do that was going to manifest that white Jaguar because she did not believe she deserved it. So the principle here is trust in divine timing and in yourself. Sometimes we don't get what we ask for because we're not ready for it yet. So what my client Jessica began to realize is that we had to do some work around her self-worth. We had to get her to believe that she was worthy of having and owning and driving a white convertible Jaguar before she could manifest it. As soon as we did that, bam, there was her white Jaguar. She found the car she wanted, used, low mileage, affordable. She manifested what she wanted. And so, but she had to believe in herself. So trust in divine timing and in yourself. So if you're getting to the point where you want something so bad and it's not coming, check in with yourself. What am I missing? When can I expect it? What is the lesson here? And stay connected in with yourself, understanding that sometimes whatever it is that you're seeking, you're not finding because you're not quite ready for it, or it's not going to come in the way that you thought, but it's going to be even better when it comes. So be open to that. And I can post my 7 rules for manifestation in the chat room if anybody's interested. But the point for this call is a well-nourished woman trusts herself and trusts in divine and knows that she can manifest whatever she wants, but she's got to believe she's worth it. It gets so much back to self-worth for so many of us. And it's got to be right time. The lesson has to be learned first. You got to clear the pathway. So check in with yourself. That's really the tip here. When you're at your wit's end, connecting with your heart space, show me, what am I missing? What do I need to know? Pray, meditate, whatever works for you, but just stay connected in. Keep coming back to that heart space and checking in with you. Last but not least, our 7th principle, shine your light. A well-nourished woman accepts her soul's purpose. She's not afraid to walk in her power and share her truth, share her message. That means you have to figure out what your soul's purpose is. And I know some of you are working on that right now. I'd love to sit down and chat with you if that's where you are. I can help you figure that out. But really, it's about assessing where you are and making a roadmap from where you are now to where you want to be and mapping out all of the steps that you think it's going to take to get you there, and then start walking. Because another really misunderstood principle from The Secret is people think, if I just want it and I just visualize it, it's going to happen. Not exactly. You have to take steps. There's an old parable, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but it's something along the lines of there's a hurricane and a big flood, and there's a man who is waiting for God to come save him. And a boat comes by and says, the person on the boat's and this flood says, hop in, I'll get you to safety. And the man says, no, I'm waiting for God to come save me. And then, another boat comes and the same thing. And then, like a helicopter flies over and the man ends up dying, and he gets to heaven and he says, God, why didn't you save me? And God says, I sent the first boat, and then I sent the second boat, and then I sent the helicopter. What more did you want, right? So you have to take action. And maybe you don't know how you're going to get from A to Z, but just start writing down the things that you think you might need to do and start moving in that direction, and just watch doorways open for you. Universe is going to stand up and pay attention when you just start to take action toward your soul's purpose, toward what you really want to manifest. And you'll be amazed at the doorways that start to open. All you have to do is walk through them. And maybe not every doorway is the right doorway for you, and that's okay too. It's about getting back to principle 6, trusting yourself. Does it feel right? If it feels right for you and the doorway presents itself, walk through the door. Shine your light. So those are my 7 principles of being a well-nourished woman. Treat your body as a sacred temple. Get in tune with your body's natural rhythms. Listen to your body. Get in touch with your emotions. Keep your cup full. Trust in yourself and in divine timing, and shine your light. So we are to the point of the call where I'm going to do our reveal of our grand prize winner and our first place winner. So I want to tell you what they're winning, and then we're going to have our big announcement for who they are. And I'm so excited. And it was close, I have to say. It was really, really close. So I was going through today, tallying up all the comments and all the posts that people had made, and it was a toughie because it came down to, I think, a difference of 5 posts between the grand prize winner and the first place winner. So the grand prize challenge winner gets, isn't it a good parable, Gemma? Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat room. So the grand prize winner gets a full scholarship to my group coaching program, The Nourished Temple. So what's the Nourished Temple? So the Nourished Temple actually goes into all of those principles and goes into more depth than we were able to do in the 7-day challenge, more depth than we were able to do tonight on the call, and really walks you through how to do all of those principles. So a well-nourished woman treats her body as a sacred temple, and she understands her body's natural cycles and rhythms and harnesses their power. She listens to her body and honors what it's telling her. She's in tune with her emotions. She sees her emotions as a superpower. She keeps her cup full. She trusts in divine timing and in herself, and she shines her light. So this is a 7-week group coaching program. It's going to help you transform your relationship with yourself and learn how to feel sexy and confident and powerful and love the woman you see in the mirror and nourish yourself and your body and just feel really good in your own skin and enjoy your time in your life. And it's going to teach you how do you get in tune with your emotions and how do you use them as a superpower, and how do we honor the body and what it's teaching us. How do we shine our light? So it's 7 weeks, 1 week devoted to each of these 7 principles. So it's basically very similar in line of thinking to our 7-day challenge, only it's spread over 7 weeks. We have a Facebook group. We have a group coaching call every week. We have workbooks every week. We have an audio class that accompanies each week. You get a private session with me. You get each other's support. So we're really able to dive just deeply into those 7 principles. So 7 weekly classes. Each Monday you get the class audios, the workbooks, the reflection questions for the week to work through at your own pace. We have 7 group coaching calls that are more in depth than we were able to do in the 7-day challenge, where it's really me doing one-on-one coaching with you, whatever you need, whatever's been emerging for you as you're working through these principles, because I find that, as we learned in our short 7-10 days now together, for those of you who started with me on day one, we learn so much from each other. And so I think it's so important to share and to do this in a group setting where you're able to get the support that you need. So we have our Sacred Circle Nourish Temple Facebook group where you can connect with the other women in the program. We have our group coaching calls where you can get laser coaching with me. You also get a one-on-one session with me. So that is what our grand prize winner is going to get. So with the weekly audios, the workbooks, the coaching calls, the Q&A calls, the Facebook support, the program, my business coach actually wants me to charge $9.97 for the program. And I said, no, I want this to be really, really affordable for all of the women who did the challenge. And I want to be able to, if this is a natural next step for you to be able to do that. If you want to do it on your own, if you want to just stay in the Love Your Body, Nourish Your Temple Facebook group and do the sticky note challenge and do some of the tips that we talked about tonight, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. But if you're wanting a little bit more support, I am offering this program to those of you who did this challenge with me, not $9.97, but $2.97. That's good until February the 12th. So on Monday, February 13th, I'm going to up the price to $4.97. So make sure if you want $700 off that yes, I do take payments, Susan, that if you want $700 off, you do that in the next 11 days, so before the 12th. So grand prize is the 7-week program that goes to, drumroll, Janelle. So Janelle, I think she's actually at work right now. Janelle, and it was close, won the entry, the free 7-week program. So for those of you who did not win the program and you still want to do it, instead of $9.97, it's only $2.97. I do take payments. So we can do 2 payments or 3 payments. Just divide that in 2 or divide that in 3. You just need to reach out to me and we can get you all signed up and ready to go. So if you're on the fence, if you're not sure if it's the right program, then just shoot me an email, drmary@drmarypritchard.com, or reply to the replay email when I send it out in the morning. Let's set up a time to chat. I've kept my schedule pretty open for the next week, so we can see if this is the right program for you, because you don't have to do it alone. So I am so excited to share this program with you. It's the second time I've run it, so we've got a group of women who have done it before and loved it, and they're going to be back there as cheerleaders with the new group of women, you all coming in. So that is the grand prize. So Janelle won that. Now our runner-up, our first place, is a free private 1-hour session with me, which is worth $150. And that goes to Diane. And I don't know if Diana's on the call tonight or not. Diane P. I don't know if she's on it or not. Some of them I can't see. I just have phone numbers, not names. So yes, very much. Congratulations to Janelle and congratulations to Diane. So Diane, I will be reaching out to you to set up that session with you. So full scholarship for the group coaching program worth $997 goes to Janelle. Diane gets the $150 1-hour session with me. So I just congratulate everybody for being on the challenge, doing the challenge is a success. Whether you did 1 day, whether you did 2 days, whether you did 10 days, I'm so proud of you and honor you for doing this. So I want to unmute the line so that we can just unmute all. Okay. We can just talk. Hi, everybody's unmuted.
Hi, I'm on the call.
Yay!
Yay! Congratulations!
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations
Thank
to
you.
everybody. So much love, and just thank you all for being here. And like I said, if you're ready to dive into the group coaching program 7 weeks, let me know. If not, the 7-day challenge isn't going anywhere. So I would love to see, thank you so much, Titania. I would love to see some of you all in the Nourish Temple group coaching program with me. If that serves you, awesome. You're welcome, Susan. If you're not sure, like I said, let's hop on the phone, let's have a chat and see if it's the right fit for you. So I will still be posting daily in our Facebook group, Love Your Body, Nourish Your Temple, with our sticky notes every day and checking in on you periodically to see how things are going. I'll send out the recording in the morning, since I think our 2 winners actually aren't even here tonight. I know it's hard to get everybody on the phone.
Diane's here.
Diane, are you here? Yay!
Yes, thank you so much.
Congratulations! I'm so glad you're here.
Congratulations,
Thank you
Diane.
so much.
Yay!
Thank you.
That is so cool.
I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm so excited. Yay! Diane's here. Yes, congratulations. So I'll be reaching out to you to set that up.
That's
and
exciting.
I'm just super excited. And thanks to everyone for just bearing your hearts and souls and being willing to do this challenge and just share so much of who you are. You're welcome, Sandra. You're welcome, Susan. Just thank you, everyone, for being here. So I just offer you so much love and honor you for doing this and saying yes to yourself. So if anybody has any questions, now that we're all unmuted, if you don't want to type them, you can ask them. And if not, we can just say congratulations and have a fabulous day or night or evening or whatever it may be for you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for giving so much of yourself to us, Mary.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love doing this. And the 7-day challenge, I'm sure we'll be back at some point too. So like I said, it's not going anywhere. If you're still on day 1 or day 5 or wherever you may be, we're still going to be here. So congrats to Janelle and to Diane. Yes, so excited. And blessings to you, Teresa. Namaste to you as well. So much love, everyone. I want to honor your time. Hugs to you, Titania. Thank you, Flory. Thank you so much. And yes, Jimmalyn, the challenge is not going anywhere. So you've got all the time you need. Take as much time as you think you're going to need. So better to do it than not. That's kind of how I feel. So take your time. So much love. I want to honor everyone's time, and I know we're right at that hour mark. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and just congratulations and thank you for investing in yourself and for doing this for you, because it's really my passion to get more and more of us on board with loving our bodies and nourishing our temples, because then we can help others do the same. So I honor you. I applaud you. You are so welcome. And I'm going to process the recording tonight so I can get it sent out tomorrow for everyone who was not here live, or if you just want to listen to the 7 principles again and jot down some things to do over the course of February. So I will see you all in the Facebook group tomorrow, and much love, and have a wonderful day or afternoon or evening or early morning, wherever you may be. So bye for now. Thank you.